repeated design. Because in fact, design is a process of innovating in the face of constraints. Wendell Berry, the author and poet, said that it's the impeded stream that's the one that sings. It's the constraints that actually give rise to the sound and texture and quality that you enjoy in looking at a stream. So understanding the constraints and in fact bringing new constraints into the conversation, which is what we're doing here in sustainability, looking not just at the traditional dimensions of speed, price, and quality, but bringing the laws of nature into the conversation about quality, the sustainability of Earth's regenerative capacity, bringing full costing into the conversation about price, and actually bringing new constraints to the table that challenge designers to innovate in new ways they haven't been doing before. Nature, as I said before, is the model and the mentor and measure for the green design process. Design is the art of planning and fashioning artistically and skillfully, according to Webster's, or to form or conceive in the mind. This is the challenge that we face here. The origin goes back to the word from the Latin designare, to mark out, to actually set out on a map or on a piece of paper or with a stick in the sand the boundaries of action, and to conceive and start to translate into vision what we're trying to build. More subtly, but I think very powerfully, if you go back to the biblical reference in Leviticus, the ancient Hebrew translates design as the thoughts of the heart. And I bring that here to emphasize the point that what we're really talking about in conversation about design and the conversation about innovation is to be really clear on where it is we're trying to go. Bill McDonough tells the story of a car, people in a car driving to Canada from Boulder, Colorado, and discover after a while they're actually heading south. Well, no amount of improvement of efficiency, of slowing down the car, is going to get you to Canada. You have to actually stop and turn it around and go in the direction that you need to go. It's also a matter of understanding the context that you're living in. This is a slide shared by my colleague Bill Reed. Ken Kern observed 30-some-odd years ago, the first American house built in wartime Java completely bewildered the natives there. Instead of building walls of local bamboo, which is closely spaced to keep out the rain and let in light and air, the white man put up solid walls to keep out light and air, and then cut windows in the walls to admit the light and air, and then put glass in the windows to admit light but keep out the air, and then covered the panes with blinds and curtains to keep the light out too. And you see the two different kinds of architecture. One well adapted and suited to place through indigenous knowledge and generations of trial and error, and another that tries to impose a solution from another place and then spend excessive amounts of time and energy and resources trying to calibrate a design to a place it wasn't key to design. So this can be a highly systematic process, and we've seen that again and again. We've seen that in the work of Thomas Edison, who it said went through 10,000 different materials before finding the tungsten filament for the light bulb, and who had a highly disciplined innovation process, but also a deeply intuitive one. Edison reportedly would take cat naps throughout the day, and he set up a technology for himself where he'd sit back in a chair, put some steel ball bearings between his fingers, and hang his hands down by the side of the chair over a steel bucket and go to sleep. And he would sleep for a little while, and when his body would get sufficiently relaxed in sleep, his fingers would relax, the steel balls would fall out, hit the cans with a clatter, and wake him up. And he found again and again that that was the moment in his reverie when he would have the next idea. Bell Labs and Xerox PARC made innovation a science, a disciplined science. Bell Labs is one of the losses, I think, of the deregulation of the phone industry, complemented by the many gains we got. But building disciplined processes to innovate again and again and again. Buckminster Fuller here in the lower left developed the World Game process where I cut my teeth 37 years ago in a comprehensive whole systems planning process looking at planetary scale at a host of issues that concern us: energy, water, housing, healthcare, transportation, communication, recreation, and on down the list. And in each case, our challenge was to clearly define the present state of humanity, clearly define what the preferred state, what success would look like for us at the scale of the then I guess 4.5 or 5 billion of us, now 6.7 billion going to 9. What would success look like? Looking comprehensively, looking full scale at all the interconnections, and then, as I described before with NASA, reverse engineering the design process to figure out what the pathway is between those. The good news, our findings were that in each of the areas we looked at, there was no necessary barrier to human success on the planet. The challenge is applying design mind in effective ways to get those jobs done. And of course, you recognize Steve Jobs at Apple, another innovation machine with a remarkable interconnection between innovation and product and branding and user experience. But again, a systematic and highly successful repetitive process that seems to win again and again. The best approaches that we see are systemic, not piecemeal. They're strategic, they're not merely operational. They're integrated with the business agenda. They're not environmental health and safety, or even just sustainability. And they're focused on meeting stakeholder needs, not just shareholder interests.